because I've been going to people's homes my whole life, and you know, measure their floors, and then we'll have a seat and we'll sit there and talk about everything, you know, and I'm very comfortable with that.
Can you see yourself in there?
I can.
All right, and now we're rolling again. Perfect.
Yeah. So it's funny that it's still nervous, I guess, just normal.
All right, so we're talking about the golf course going off on those guys. Hi everybody, it's Hector from Cochise County Voice. I'm back with Councilman Boyle. The new Councilman Boyle, Mark Boyle, who was elected in the recall election. We're rapping about the golf course. Either one of us understand, you know, what we're getting exactly out of it, and so you know, hopefully we'll find a resolution for that. Again, I like to think of it as an amenity. I just think it's expensive, and I just think with some good ideas, it could come to a better, you know, just something better, you know. And that's another thing too. You know, everyone's got all. I mean, I've heard like 100 ideas for it. You know, everything from you know, multi-use, adding trails, or reducing the size to 9. Or adding a golf range or just a pay range to it for the nighttime, all kinds of stuff. So ideas are all out there as far as what you could do to kind of make it better. But the question is always just the money, you know, and maybe, you know, Megan Moreno will come on and give us a good explanation.
Well, we do own it.
Yeah.
So even if we closed it, the dirt don't just go into the twilight zone.
No.
We could still do all those things, you know, and stuff. You know, walking trails or, and stuff like that, to where it would be functional and good, and we're not paying a fortune for it. But I felt like, you know, so many people are saying, well, don't close it, please. So that, well, you know what, we'll give it the time we have.
Yeah.
And come and present to us. You know, a lot of people go, I wish I could vote. I go, well, present, you know, what you'd like. Would you like this annexed? Yeah. Draw a little picture, show it to us, and we can take it to the whole council. Yeah. Well, and do it. So tell us why we're wrong, you know, in thinking it's a bad thing, because I'm all for sitting there going, well, that would probably work. Let's do it.
And I think people would appreciate like signs of progress with it. Yeah. That's another thing that I think is just kind of annoyed people, like myself, but probably others, is that there's just no signs of progress. I want at the end of the year this year for people to be like, or at the end of the fiscal year, to say, wow, we really made progress. Look, we didn't spend the whole $600,000. We only spent half of it. Wow, you know what I mean? But you can do that. I mean, that's what the mayor said it, right? Yeah. He explained it very clearly. Budgets are just the cap of spending, but nothing says you can't spend less and save the city some money.
Yeah, because most of it's projected out.
Right.
So it's kind of like we would like to. Well, you know, and I told one friend of mine, I go, well, I would really like to own a Ford Raptor. I've always wanted one of those since they came out. But reality just smacks me in the face. It's like, no, you don't have that money. Yeah. And I can't tax it. And I know the city's not a business, but when you look at our budget, it's twice that of Wilcox. And they got the same amount of people, and they're doing cool stuff. So we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. And if we start cutting that spending down, it's going to make life easier on the community and the people. And if it puts an extra $50 a month in your pocket, you're going to go out and spend that. I can count that. Yeah. The study with the golf cart, I can't count that. Yeah. So I think we're way overbloated. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, speaking of money and budgets, we are about to give city workers a raise, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a standard cost of living expenditure type thing. Not everyone's happy about that. They think that this is not a good time for raises. Is that the case?
That is the case. And what I felt was kind of maybe just weird, you know, because the first meeting, I think it was on Monday, we talked about that, and, you know, with the Walden group and that, and how we would handle the raise. And Cindy had ideas, everyone had ideas, and we talked about it, but at the bottom it didn't say, you know what we should, motion for, which most of them do. It's just like, and it just said for discussion and consideration. So nobody, we didn't sit there and go, well, I motion that we table this or we do it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, when the budget came up, it was just like a big balloon full of money, and we had to approve it. And I was like, well, wait, we didn't have to, but I'm still new at this.
Yeah.
And I felt that, you know, and I asked, you know, Volker, I said, well, can we have meetings on that too? Like the golf course, that where we could sit there and go. Because, you know, Cindy Tappy had some good ideas to where it was, you know, you have to do an across the board percentage. But then the other part you could do, you know, merit-based and all that.
Merit-based, yeah.
And it just kind of went into the ether and stuff like that. So it's just like, you know, when you look back, last year we didn't have a raise for anybody. But the year before that, we had a 21% raise. And now you add this 3%, that's 24%. So in 3 years, they've got an 8% raise each year. I wouldn't mind that as a citizen, and I'm sure most of the people in town go, wow, 8% a year, I'd take that job.
Yeah,
so
that's a reasonable rate.
they
Absolutely.
are upset about it, and we're still working on, can we revisit this before they just write all the checks and give them the money?
Yeah. There seems to be I think some, you know, personally, I don't think the economy is doing that great.
No, it's not.
And so I think people are kind of hurting out there. The prices are expensive, and so there's a little bit of disconnect there with that. And one of the things that, you know, yet again, you know, and of course not a criticism of your body, but what, you know, they're just not convincing people enough of why these things are necessary or good or whatever, right? It's like they're like, yep, sorry, increase, and we're just gonna give everybody raises, cost of living.
Sounds like it, yeah.
How about a campaign to tell people why that's reasonable and why
Right.
that's not, right?
Well, and like you said in the beginning, you know, we just walked in. This has already been kind of set in place. We were just going, okay, going forward. Now, we will be really active in the next one, because if that's the way they're going to play the game, then I'm going to have meetings that last 10, 12 hours. I don't care. I want to know, or I'm going to table it and then we'll do it again.
Well, and the work sessions are I mean, obviously that's where all the work takes place. You know, as far as the discussions go. And so I know that in the budget, you were up against the end of the month.
That timeline, and yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, legally.
I guess had we known how the game was played,
yeah.
and I call it that because it seems that way sometimes, then I would have motioned to at least table it.
Yeah.
Which, and if they're up against the timeline, it's like, well, good, then let's have another meeting and discuss this and finalize it. Because we were just kind of made to think that we were going to work this out, but no, we're not going to. Everyone's got a raise. And I found that to be really not ethical to me, you know, for a council. Somebody on that council could have motioned.
Yeah, it was
and we didn't know, because I've seen the mayor sit there and go, well, do you want to turn that into a motion? You know, to me and to Romero at times. So he knows
that you can do it. Yeah.
He could have done that. And when you read the blue sheet, which is what they call, you know, the whole thing, the quick outline, at the bottom it usually says staff recommends signing this or approving that.
Yeah.
It had nothing, it just said for discussion. So why would you motion to say no on a discussion when it's still going on?
Yeah, it's still going on, yeah.
So I felt that was a little bit, I'm not going to use the word deceitful and all that, but it could have been handled more openly.
Yeah, I'm going to blame that on, of course, the crunch that, you know, you guys had. So that's it's a drag because it, you know, again, you know, it doesn't buy you enough time. And especially for folks that are going to be sort of expecting, you know, more action right away from you guys, you know. I saw a post already blaming you for not, you know, like you got to one meeting essentially.
Yeah, this was the second one. The first one on the budget, you know.
Oh yeah, the budget. Yeah.
And I actually brought that one point up. It's like, you know, we have to do some work, you know, for the water treatment plant on the hill. And it's like, you know, without saying it, we've known about this for a very long time. I mean, simple math would tell you it's going up within a month or a year. We're going to hit 5,000, you know, gallons a day limit. So let's just wait until the last minute. Now we have to rent this piece of equipment when it could have been turned on and tested and done years ago, because it was inevitable, you know. So just do it. We got the money, do it. And that's what gets me about the spending. It's like, well, let's wait until the last minute. And now we're gonna pay more because we have to rent this piece of equipment and get it running.
That was a weird one. Yeah, hey, you're right though. It could have been done at any other time, or at least to be prepared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe that's just human nature.
Maybe you have to rent a truck for a while.
Yeah, which is not cheap. Per month, it's very expensive. And I don't know. I saw the plant. It's funny that it's so old and it looks brand new. It's a beautiful building.
Oh, cool.
I was like, well, all you got to do is, you only have to paint the blue pipes. The rest of it look brand new. It's like, well, there's the seals and there's the bulbs, the UV bulbs. It's like $1 million. Like, no, I know what you're talking about, and this is a little crazy. My point was, why'd you wait so long? If we had done that over a 4-year period, then it would be, when it was time to turn it on, you just flip a switch and off you go.
But now you're stuck with it, with this process, or at least this fix for the moment.
And we have to rent that piece of equipment because ADEQ is fining us if we don't.
Yeah, you have to do it now.
Yeah. So it's like, I thought it was kind of rich for ADEQ to worry about that when the aluminum dust was fine.
Yeah, I thought that too. Suddenly they're like an enforcement mechanism. I thought they could do shit about anything. You know what I mean?
So they're looking the other way and whistling past the graveyard on aluminum dynamics, and that's pollution.
Rent a truck. Yeah.
Rent a truck.
Okay, so let's talk about the 90 up here. Development up here. Obviously, that's an area of growth for the city, and one of the issues up here is that for a long time, people have been clamoring for more fire protection up there. Yeah. Tell me a little bit how you feel about that. Where do you think the money's going to come from? And how much focus should we put on that, on getting that done?
Well, I don't know, and you can tell me what you think. I mean, we have a fire station downtown.
We do.
It's not working 24/7. We don't have anywhere for the guys, so we can't fully staff it. So my silly opinion as being a parent is like, if you don't take care of your toys, we're not going to build you a new one. It's more dangerous than that because it's a fire department. But why can't we do both with all this excess we have in these funds and make that functioning by getting a place for them to sleep, hire a few more people to where it works 24/7, because if your house catches on fire, it doesn't care if it's after 5 or not.
Yeah.
And then do we need a whatever $1 million thing? If you go to Mescal, it's a big metal building with some trucks in it, and
is that $1 million?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember years ago you could buy a metal building. They were always advertising for X amount of dollars.
Well, yes, but you've got to put facilities in there.
Well, yeah, you put a couple bedrooms in. I mean, somebody told me, he goes, well, I've seen people build these barndominiums that are 10 times bigger than that, and it ain't $1 million. I mean, it's expensive.
I always think such.
But they're always like, well, there's federal regulations. Okay, buy the federal trucks, park them in there, put some bedrooms in there, and build it on the hill. But they want all this, and I guess, Cochise College said, well, get some land you can use, so they don't have to buy it. But the city just likes spending money. I mean, we had all the funding to build a nice complex in town, and then they go, ooh, let's buy the Walmart, shopping center, so now our town hall will be out in Walmart. It makes you just wonder. I mean, I don't know, you're a citizen, and you're a smart guy. It's like, does it look appropriate, or does it look a little bit like what's going on?
Well, here's we're talking about the annex and the what should be City Hall. So that's another ongoing thing. Of course, at least 5 years from what I can remember.
Yeah, when they built the modulars.
Right. That was always going to be an annex, and that's why I'm calling it an annex. Right. Okay. But then they just became City Hall because the twin building that was like that became unusable. Right. So there was a delay there.
This is another
a bit of a loss.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I'll ask somebody that knows. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
But
I've heard all the rumors, and it's like, well, whatever,
But so the building was lost, and but the biggest part was, so several things happened during that period of time, which is, one of the things that happened is that the price of everything got super expensive.
Yes.
Especially, building supplies and those types of things. And so by not addressing and starting that back then,
right.
We're paying substantially more now by starting it at this point. So, the city goes around looking for a bargain, and I guess they found that building by Walmart,
Right.
which price-wise was a bargain, but of course it has to be remodeled to the tune of like $1 million.
I know, I'm looking at it and going, I've remodeled houses before, and so I could tear that facade off and empty the building a lot less than that. Well, it needs new air conditioning. It's like, so did my house I just had.
But we're all great builders when we get $1 million. We can do.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when they say, prices went up, which is fine. Did building materials go up more than 10, 15%? I mean, they were still building houses at that price.
Yeah, no.
So your budget just went up 10%. But if you wait, now it's gone up almost 100% because you just waited, land's gone up,
everything's gone up. Right?
So it's like, why not just, tackle it right when it was right in front of you and do it? It's like,
Right.
10%, well, okay, 10% of $1 million is 100,000. Hey, I know where you could get 100,000. Actually,
Okay.
I know where you could get 700,000.
Well, right. Well, because we have like a good sized contingency fund out there,
Yeah.
right? So it could have handled a number of things. But that seemed to be another weird one, and that's just taken so long to kind of make any progress on it. And of course, I don't know how far along the building is now, but it probably another year before that gets done. I have no
I
idea.
haven't seen much of it. I drive by it and look at it because I'm in construction, so I was like, what are they doing in there?
Well, it's going to be fully gutted. I mean, it looked like it was a store, and so they've got to turn it
Yeah, it
into
was what
office buildings.
the Quiznos sub place and then a nail
Yeah.
place. It was Salvation Army at one time. But yeah, to gut a building is
Yeah,
it's
but
not that complicated.
it's not. No,
Making
but
it pretty again.
yeah, right. They're going to have to turn what was a commercial facility into office building, and to work function for them. And then they'll have that and the annex finally, but separated by a grate.
Right, and we can't use the annex for even a police station because that's what Ross was, Kaplowitz was saying. Because without making a perfect police station, but it doesn't have concrete floors.
Yeah, no, that's
so state law says that
again. They'll
police
see
station-
those darn government regulations about for government buildings.
Good thing we weren't around in the Wild West. You couldn't even have locked them up. Well, I don't know. There's that one jail in Cleveland. That's all concrete brick.
Well, and so that's how it's going to go on. We still have yet to pay for it, or we're paying for the renovation, and of course that still has to work out okay. So what happens? That old cliche, or
Yeah. Why build one when you?
Well, or you count on
twice?
you end up costing twice as much or whatever it is, and so I have a suspicious feeling that we're going to get into that, right? That we're going to be like, oh my God, we found
Termites.
black hole in the middle of this building.
Right.
We're going to have to but whatever it is, right?
Well, I kind of wonder, the city as a, not the people, but the management, City Hall.
Yeah.
I don't know what their method of doing things, but it's definitely built on a procrastination model, which ends up costing us money and frustrating people. And it's like, can we at least get the ball rolling and stop pushing it up the hill and get it to the top of the hill? It's like, well, let's wait another 5 years and then we'll rent a piece of equipment to run it up the hill. It's like,
I'm sure that nobody's suggesting that stuff, but it is a slow process though. I mean, I think you're going to find out how slow it is, but maybe you can do something about speeding it up.
I don't know. I mean,
all right. So
you never know.
we covered. We're doing pretty good on subjects here. And how are we doing on time? Not too bad. We're almost at the hour mark. So
You can edit it down or whatever you want.
No, I like it as long as you're good with it, and it doesn't sound like it got totally out of control. So
it's my day off. So
that's good.
I can be here.
Well, then I'm good with it. so we talked a little bit about golf course and trying to get a fire station built. I think they need it up there. I think that's the area of development. But always the question is where the money's going to come from. You know what I mean?
I hear we got quite a bit of money in one fund. It's just sitting there. We get interest on. It's like, well, interest is nice, but cost of materials is going up more than interest. So let's just build the dang thing.
You know, I don't mind that the city has a little,
No, I don't mind either because stuff happens. But if you're getting 3% on 10 times the amount that it take to build a fire department, if you wait 3 years, the cost of materials and everything's going to go up more than you made on that.
It's a good question. How much are we making on that fund? That's a good question for Megan. So we'll have her answer because
3% or something horrible, but I don't want them investing in stocks either. It's very safe to have it in bonds and stuff, but if you pulled it out, you're going to lose that 3%. But if you wait to build a fire department with the cost
you're going to lose
of
more.
everything going up, yeah, you might lose.
Interesting trade-off.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out. What I'd like to find out is how well, those investments performed over the last few years, just to see.
And I think it's just kind of the safe savings thing. I don't think they're out
we'll see.
buying SpaceX
Well,
stock, but
that would have been a good idea. We would have doubled our money.
see.
No, we'll have. I really am hoping that Megan will come out. I haven't invited her, so she doesn't know.
Well,
but it would be good so she could come by and kind of get everyone just a lesson of how it works. I thought she did a great job during the work session of kind of slowing things down and explaining. Of course, she was at the very end of the fiscal year, but still kind of explaining, how she does the budget.
No, she does a good year. A good job. I was kidding her, because we had a lot of people at the first meeting, and and then we went into an executive session, and then we solved the thing with the water treatment plant. But I said, why don't you save that really boring dirt pie for toward the end of the meeting? Because they said we had a lot of people that were very excited to be there. And I go, that's the whole goal, to get people to these meetings. And then you turn around and do all this pie chart stuff that people are looking at going, what?
I like the chart.
Yeah.
Well, information, for information. It isn't.
But I was just giving her a hard time.
Finances are never going to be a good show,
She
man.
think, well, we got to go over it and all. I was like, no, I'm just giving you a hard time because a lot of people left because, we went into that meeting.
I think she should tape her segment and just run it.
Yeah. Because, it's important that we understand all that as citizens, that we're paying for all this. But then again, you turn around and say, well, let's stop paying for that and do this. And they're like, oh, shut up. Kind of go sit down, And so it's like, wait, am I part of this equation or not?
So, well, and that's, so yeah, look, all three of you guys are fairly new at at doing that, doing the business of the council. And so, it's expected, right, that you're not going to be able to hit the ground running. There's got to be a lot of learning about the process. And of course, now you've got this double duty. You've got to also run for the next.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the campaign. I saw you, working the streets in the previous one out there.
Oh yeah, that's where we first met. Was there?
Yeah,
Safeway.
Out in front of Safeway. So you just gonna kind of continue that, and are you changing the messaging any, or what? Now that you're in there, is the process going to change a little bit? Or?
Well, I guess the meetups and stuff like that. I'm trying to stay away from those.
Oh yeah, you're not going to do those.
Because we're all competing. Like when the three of us did it, we weren't running against each other.
Yeah.
And so this is a little different dynamic.
Right.
But I still want to, I will be at the park on 4th of July and talking to people. That's my whole campaign. It's like, if you want to talk to me, call me, email me, talk to me. I'm all ears and I love talking.
So what can the council do better to kind of communicate with the residents about what's going on? It's always a complaint that the people find out too late, that that they never know what's going on, You know, you know, I don't know if this is true. You know, it appears though that they pretty much do the minimum. You know, obviously public meetings have to be put in the paper, and then you have, you know, and then you just have to, you don't, I think 72 hours to announce a meeting or a work session or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that. And, you know, yes, I guess Arizona law is, you know, you have to post it in the paper, which usually has a firewall. I mean, they say they don't, but
Yeah.
never been on their website. It's pretty
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, City of Benson and then what's going on. And then they have to post some pictures, which they always get wrong. I don't know how hard it is to post a picture with a legend on it saying, this is the lot, not that over there. But other than that, I don't see why we can't have more of a social media presence in these things, like email, like join the city email list and send out on out. I mean, I asked somebody, I think it was Vicky or Jacqueline, I said, once I get my packet, can I email that to people? And she said, yeah, it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are 200-300 pages, but if it's on an Adobe, you know, you can just read through it. So people would probably like that. I don't know, unless they're just complaining because it's more fun. But I think, you know, with emails and stuff like that, I don't know why they turned off comments on their Facebook thing, you know, and stuff. They didn't like being yelled at. Maybe they've gotten over that now that ADI, you know, went to the dodo.
And the thing about comments is this, right, is if you open up the comments and people expect you to actually answer them, right? And so that's very difficult. I mean, it could be thousands of people, it could be, you know, so it's hard to have like a designated person.
Right.
And then the person that's going to run the social media probably isn't going to be the most knowledgeable. You know, it's not like it's going to be Vicky.
Because people that have questions,
you know,
really want them for the decision makers.
Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be Vicky or.
And I have the email, you know, in the city, just email me, I'll read it, and, you know. And I'll get back, because I like telling people, you know, this is this and this, that. Now, I used to discuss with everyone I knew in city council back in the days, it's like, people don't show up to your meeting because the way you word it. I go, it's like, we're going to buy a golf course, come talk us out of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's really hard to talk somebody out of something they really, really, really want to do. Instead of just saying, we have an opportunity for, let's just say the golf course, they get it for $1 and they're going to fund it for 3 years. How can we make money with this? Because we're just going to say no. It could be expensive, and we're just going to pass on that. So it's just a difference of
it's messaging.
Well, we're gonna ruin your life, talk us out of it, as opposed to, hey, what do you think about having a golf course?
Yeah, so you know,
it does scare people off because they've been in meetings where it's like, yeah, it's great, sit down, but.
No, I just talked to my wife about this very thing. There's an interesting thing that happened, right? The city recently announced their property tax increase, right? And they put it out on social media. It was just basically their logo and then this public notice, you know, which is what showed up in the newspaper as well, I'm assuming. Because I think those had to be published a couple of times. But anyway, so I saw that post and I saw, you know, it got like a 1 or 2 clicks on it or something, you know. So I took that information, the exact same information, and I put it on our site, but I changed the graphic and it just said, you know, tax increase, basically proposed tax increase.
Which is exactly what it is.
Right, but so that got dozens of people's attention. The same exact message, just delivered slightly differently. They got a different response. And here's the thing about the city too, that they do a fairly good job on social media promoting, you know, the 4th of July, you know, Lantern Festival, you know, the various things happening too. So they have the capacity to get the word out. But it's this type of information. Now, of course, getting the word out about a fun event like, you know, like a picnic is easy, compared to telling people they've got to show up to listen to you know, tax talk or something. You know what I mean?
And I'm, you know, and I let the cat out of the bag a long time ago. I'm just going to vote no. You know, it's just we don't need more taxes. We need to stop spending. Well, and it's just a matter of my opinion, and I might be right, and they might all vote for it on the council. I'm just one guy, but I just, we're not gonna, they're not gonna lower our food tax.
No, that's not gonna
If
happen.
it passes, because the state's not gonna say, let's just do away with it. No, every politician loves money, especially when it's not theirs.
Yeah.
So, why do we have food? And I don't know if the city can vote to eliminate that, because everybody says it's our fault, as the city, that we have 3.5%. Well, I'd be for just eliminating it. It's like, whatever it was paid for, I'm sure it's been paid for. Like, if you look on your phone bill,
Yeah, but now
and there's that little tax
we've gotten
or
used to the revenue now.
Right.
We put expenses on.
Now, this was years ago, but you had to, whatever, there was a tax on it. Well, that was to fund or pay back the debt from the Mexican Revolution. It's like, I'm pretty sure we worked that out like over 100 some years ago. So a tax is just, it's not gonna go away unless you actually scrape it off. And let
People have always traditionally said that, right? That once you enable a tax, it's almost impossible to
And if it's one of our taxes, I mean, if the city said, well, we need, 3.5% to pay off, whatever bonds or something, then let people know what it's doing and give them a sunset date when that's gonna end, because the bond were paid off.
Yeah.
But if it's because they got sued the other day for, something stupid, it's like, I don't know, I mean, yeah, I'm part of the city, so why am I paying, when does it end?
Yeah.
And it just goes on and on and on. And a lot of people ask me, why are we paying a sales tax on food? It's like, honestly, I have no idea. And probably most people don't. Like, what's that there for and why?
Well,
Tucson don't have one.
Revenue source. And it's also one that I think they feel gets spread amongst more even.
Yeah.
But that's not going away. Definitely.
I know. We're going to be stuck at 3.5%.
Yeah. Well, and but of course, taxes are or the need for them. It's really accounting, right? Like I said, the only reason we continued it is because we kind of got used to having it there, and taking it off would be detriment.
Horrible, yeah.
Well, yeah, we gotta move it.
It just shuts up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
It's like, I'm done.
I'm supposed to be keeping track.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have my timer on. I usually have it on my phone, wherever it is.
That's